This way, every time I get in and out of this Jeep, you know, if I've got snow and ice on my feet, it'll be safer for me, it'll be safer for passengers. Very inexpensive modification. I paid less than $50 from an online store that's got a name that's very similar to a jungle name. So again, I really recommend that you look at something like this. Hello, this is Brett, and I'm in gear here with my 23 Mojave with an accessory modification video that's a step above the rest. A sill plate guard is, in this case, it's a piece of rubber that you would actually bond onto the sills, which is the bottom of your door jamb on your Wrangler or your Gladiator, or really any vehicle that you had. And when you put this piece of rubber down, it gives you a little bit more traction, and it's going to protect the paint from rocks and gravel that may get within your shoes. And so just to give you an example, if you take a look at this shoe, you'll see that there's little bits of sand that are in the webbing of that shoe. And so essentially every time you get in and out of a vehicle, you're going to potentially step on that metal surface that's been painted, and you'll actually scuff it up. It'll just be like sandpaper. So putting down this sill plate is going to go ahead and give you a bit more traction, and it's going to protect that metal surface and that paint from being damaged. Right now I have the sill plate that's for the driver's side, which would be the LH one. If I look on the back here, I have LH. So this LH one is essentially going to fit right here, and we could probably just paste it down. My Jeep probably certainly is clean enough, but for the best contact, just in case I do have any oil, dust, dirt in some place that I hadn't cleaned that would prevent this two-way tape from sticking, I'm going to go ahead and clean this. So what I'm going to do is I've already got a paper towel. Grab a little bit of window cleaner and give it a quick once over. At this point, I'm just going to use a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Reason being that sometimes you might have some oils that, well, honestly, I just don't know how well that glass cleaner is going to clean this. So there's actually a little something stuck on there. Okay, so there goes. First cleaned with a little bit of window cleaner, and then I use the isopropyl alcohol. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start to spec this out in terms of where exactly I want the alignment. We've got this little bump out right here, and that's to give room for this fender where it bolts on and the bolt. And so if I just simply tried to line that up, probably right over that bolt. So let's just walk over the back here. There's a piece of double-sided tape here, here, and here. So it's going to have 3 points of contact. Well, actually 4, because there's a piece of double-sided tape right there in the front. So it's going to have 4 pieces of contact, and you could probably put more on, but I think that's enough if I ever want to take this off. But now that I've roughed this in and I have an idea where I think I want this, I'll take this piece of pliable magnet, and I'm just going to set it in the back here, right where I think that'll line up. Actually, it secures a little bit better right there, mainly so that I can just pull this off, and it's already roughed in. I've got this measured out, and it'll just slide right back in real easy, real quick. So as I start to peel this up, I'm purposely holding this still with my hand. Lifting it up. Now, give you an idea of what I did here is I've already started to tack this strip on right here, and there's a I don't know, it's just a little bit of plastic that covers that double-sided tape. I'm going to peel this back, and as I do, it's going to expose one portion of that double-sided tape all the way, and as I do, I'm just going to go ahead and keep planting that and pushing that down. Okay, let's check out my handiwork here. So now this is stuck just on the top, right? The bottom's loose, obviously, because I haven't removed those pieces of sticker. All right, now, and I'm pretty happy with how that lines up, that seam all the way. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and try to come in here and just peel a little bit. Now I can really tack that in there.
Basically, this way.
I guess I'm just really forcing this down with my thumbs as best as possible. You figure out what works best for you. Okay, lastly, I've just got a few little bits here I want to address. As you recall, there's a piece of tape there, and then a piece of tape along this whole, strip as you would enter the door. So let me go ahead and get the piece in the front first, because I think I'm going to do both. I'm going to do this piece here. And this piece here. All right. But the only thing I'd say that I'm doing right here that's might not capture in the camera is I'm just trying to make sure that I have as good a seal as possible to keep debris from getting in there. You can only do so much, but before it really bonds down. For whatever reason, that tape didn't want to come any further there, so I'll get it from this other side. Actually, I'll just do it from, see able to re-grab that end. Okay, so that was the driver's side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start on the driver's side rear door. Driver's side, remember, is the left-handed, so you see that right in the center of the frame, LH. And, lining this one up, you really don't have any cues, so other than, where it fits in the front and the back. And so I would just kind of suggest, as you're trying to slide this in, figure out where you think somebody's feet are going to land and what's the midpoint of that. One other point here is, for how these are molded, this just starts to kind of touch that peak right there. If I leave that there, I'll focus. I'm just on the outside of this body pinch weld, maybe, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch, if I had to guess. I could always put my magnet on here just to give me some kind of a reference point to make it easier to come in and just as I have that dropped and sealed. Okay. Now let's just check the overall fitment. There's going to be an area where that's going to just kind of stick out. So I could probably trim off that edge just a little bit. And when I look here, push up the front, maybe just a little bit of an edge there too. So I'm going to say probably about, 1/2 an inch in the front here. And probably about 3/4 to an inch in the back that I would trim. But one other thing that I notice, and I'd say always do a rough fit on this, if you look at where when this is stuck all the way in, it really appears that this rubber in the back here is going to stick out just a tiny bit. So if I hold the camera over here from an edge, maybe you get an idea of what I'm referring to. I've run into this in the past. I'm not too worried about it. If it does stick out, you can see how far away we are from the tape. So I might trim that after the fact. I really don't want to trim it up too much now because, you know, what if it moves and then I have to retrim it? And so when I do trim it, I'll stick a credit card or some other piece of plastic or something underneath there so I don't scuff up the paint. But I will trim off that edge. That's just about what I saw when I was there. As I bring the knife back. All right, I'm gonna make one additional adjustment here. It's the smallest ever. So I've got this razor blade, which is pretty sharp. It's so sharp that I trim that little bit. It looks better than what it was, so I'll live with that. Let me take off a bit on the front here. Instead of using that knife, I'll just use this razor one more time. Let's see. A little safety warning, a little public service announcement. Be careful when you're working with razors, because it will for sure cut your hands. All right, now let's walk around and check our handiwork. And that's pretty much what I wanted. I just wanted something that would abut to that trim. But let's go ahead and clean this and then get to sticking. All right, good enough for surgery. Okay, let's see what we got here. I think that's about where we were. Okay, we laid it in. We've got this pinch weld right here. This one, you know, it sits pretty flat. It sits real flat. There we go. It's kind of hazardous. You gotta peel off that vinyl tape without peeling off the sticker. Okay, I've got that top piece. Try to peel off the red here. All right, once I've got it underneath here, I can it's good. And I'll do the bottommost piece. Yeah, if you're going to do this job, try to grow about a 1/16 of an inch of a nail out so you can grab hold. It's one thing you need. A little bit of fingernail. Okay, so there we are. I'm going to walk through this. You know, it's actually got a pretty nice reveal. I can live with all of that. It's pressed in against the bottom here. The only thing I don't like is this reveal right here. So you can see right here, that's that magnet. You can see right here where that magnet is. And I'm about, if I had to guess, I'd say 3/16 of an inch back on this side. And on this side, I think I'm touching. So let's just see how it looks when I shut the door. And that's what I didn't think I would like right there. So it does show a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim this from right about here. I'll just trim this straight all the way back. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and rigged something up here. I've got a clear ruler. It's plastic, so I have to be careful, but I'm using it as a straight edge. I'm going to use a razor blade to cut along the edge of that. And so that I protect the paint, when I do, because I will cut through this rubber, to protect the paint, I've got a piece of cardboard that's doubled up. It's just something from a cereal box, as you can tell. Just to get a lie on a good line with this, I've gone ahead and used this magnet, and on one side of it, I've taped 3 nickels on the front side of this ruler, and you see it just about lines up perfectly. Again, I'm just using that as a gauge, and the 3 nickels gets me to right where I need to be. And then on this back side of this, let's see, so I at least have a line, and it's a point of reference, you know, with my own homemade gauge of a magnet, which I just simply recycled. You get one of those business cards and they stick to a magnet, just peel off that business card and you got a great magnet for projects like this. So anyways, I'll use that as, you know, I've got a pretty good line of where I'm going to cut. I'll probably run all the way up to right about here, and I'll just move this cardboard up. So once I make it through the rubber, I'm going to stop. So it'll work good enough for what I'm trying to do without scratching the paint. So I've already started to score this just to make sure that it would work. I've got a couple different razors and tried a couple different tools. This is kind of a bull-nosed box cutting razor. I would say I like this one simply for the standpoint. Let me check that camera, see if it moved. Yeah, I like this one simply because it doesn't have the sharp edges. Take your time because, you know, you could get carried away, pull that razor back.
Thankfully, the double-sided tape's further back. Simply trying to walk this razor back. Yeah, I could put that in that box cutter. The only problem I don't like with that is it's just, well, it's just too easy to get pulling hard on that box cutter. So I'm taking this, what I think will be slower and more. Well, will wonders never cease?
So here we go. Getting ready to pull this out. And so I've made this cut right here, and that was right at that body seam. So that actually is a nice place to kind of bring that out. Let's take a quick aerial and see what we did. A few pieces that I could trim up. But for the most part, you know, that's got a nice body reveal. Yeah, I've got a little bit right there I can clean out, but let's shut the door and see what happens. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice. I mean, obviously that little bit's sticking out, but just give me a second longer and I'll fix that up. I'm gonna do one little bit here. All right, let's look it over. Nowhere have I disturbed the paint in this area, as you can see. I'll let you examine that as close as you want. Yeah, for the most part, I'd say that's pretty good. Oh yeah, yeah, I can live with that. Okay, I stepped back over to the driver's side door just because I thought I could make it easier as I cut in the passenger side rear sill plate. So just a couple things. You know, as I was saying, I recalled that I was right above that pinch weld right there. So presuming that that pinch weld is in the same spot over there, that should give me a pretty good, you know, idea of what I'm kind of eyeballing for the back of this. And then as well, it's fair to say that this body seam right here is going to be at the same spot on the other side. So I'll use that as a reference point, but I'll also just do a quick measurement right here to see where the front of this is to this body weld. And it looks like it's pretty near 2 inches. I could probably come forward just a tiny bit. And let's see where we are. Okay, so for where that is, I'll just see where we flip this ruler Okay, so we're working backwards here, but I'm at the 2-inch mark right there with that body seam. Anyways, that gets me into the bubble. Okay, it's so much easier now that I've got a straight edge. So that's one part. Let's see where we are right here. Okay, it's good enough. So if I could just repeat that cut. Oh yeah, that's nice. Notice my thumb is out of the way. Be careful as you cut. You might want to have your fingers and thumb when you're done. I'd say that looks pretty decent. Okay, back I'll take off 1 inch. Again, I generally don't like scissors because it's just hard to get a real straight edge. Okay, let's go get it. Let me go ahead and start with this piece first. And as I'm pulling that tape off, I'm just checking my reveal in terms of how it's lining up with that body panel. Let's see what we can do underneath here. Yeah, the whole time I'm trying to pack this in as far back as I can so that it keeps a tight seam all the way to the back there. Okay, there we go. So let's see how quick that one went in. We have a nice kind of reveal. It covers up that body as well as I could do in the time, I thought. You kind of come out right here, but for the most part, I've got near the same amount of reveal all the way up to the front there. Nice clean look. Taking some glass cleaner, trying to take some of the heavy, I don't know, dirt, debris, whatever got in here from driving. As I'm just checking the reveal and how much it lines up, I'm going to cut off a little bit at the front and a little bit in the back, and I'll show you why. I'll do that before I put it in here though. As you can see, there's just a tiny bit of overlap, and it's the smallest thing ever, but I don't like the idea of that sticking over the plastic and sticking up and somehow catching and then peeling off. And same could be said, it's probably more relevant in the front here. Just don't, you know, there's more room. That plastic isn't right at the door edge, but still I'll just kind of clean that up so that it looks a little straighter anyways, and I'll just lop off probably about a ½ inch there and about 1 inch in the back here. Just by eyeballing it, having done it twice, I'm going to say that's my mark. That's why you use a piece of wood, because I actually cut into that wood. There's that shard of rubber. Let me see if I can't just trim this a tiny bit more. It's good enough. Let's see what we got here. If you recall over here, this is just about a ½ inch that I wanted to take off. That's about what I said I'd do. So front compared to the back. And that's the front. And that's the back. Okay, let's get to it. Relatively speaking, lay as flat as possible in both of these peaks. And then for scale, or for perspective, it's my handy dandy magnet. I think I'm just going to go ahead and say that right there is pretty good. And if I just check where my bolt is, the bolt appears to be pretty much right in the middle of that. Just pressing down, one piece down. Let's see about peeling this back right here. We got our tape started. Okay, now there's a little piece of tape all the way in the front. It's kind of peel that all the way off as I just did and seal that. Lastly, this little bit right here. As I'm doing this, I'm pushing in at the bottom and making sure it's as flat as possible. There we go. So let's give it a look. Pretty good reveal all the way across. Looks pretty even. That actually bubbles out, but that's the body panel. It's like a seam right there, so you can't really fault me for that. It's a real nice reveal. Can't see anything. You know, the problem with scissors compared to the razor blade is the scissors. The problem with I'm never saying the word scissors again. Got one of those stands that got hooked onto my belt. If I put this back, of course that doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. There we go. Thanks for tuning in to today's installment on this. So stay tuned until my next accessory mod on who knows what, and cut.